Now, weirdly, last week we had someone trying to get more colleagues to talk to them. This week it's kind of the opposite. So here, this person writes, as a department head, I need to stay professional, but I'm struggling with some workplace interactions. Talking to people about work-related issues is part of my job, and I'm always available to help with those. However, I don't want to hear about personal drama or become friends with anyone. My focus is on getting work done, not on socializing. Despite my subtle and not so subtle hints to deter personal conversations, my colleagues don't seem to get it. I'm close to telling them outright to leave me alone. I'm guessing that they might be a bit stronger than that. Any advice on handling this whilst staying professional? Made me chuckle, this one.
So so they're a head of regional head?
Yes, they're a department head, and they've got no problem with anyone coming to them and telling them about their work, problems, issues, anything to do with work, absolutely no problem. What they don't like is when someone comes to them and goes, oh yeah, so at the weekend, me and the kids went so-and-so and we had this, and they're like, I don't care. They just don't want to hear it.
What's the problem? He just wants them to go away. Leave him in peace.
They write, I'm close to telling them to leave me alone. Basically, just don't come and see me at all. But I want to stay professional, but I want them to stop coming and bothering me with their weekend bullshit.
I'm not really sure what to say to this one, to be honest. Because there is an element, I think, as a manager where you have to kind of, if you're building relationships, you do have to kind of put up with a bit of that sometimes and what they've been up to at the weekend and you know, maybe some potential issues they are having in their personal life, because that could be a sign for you to dig deeper, or it could be a sign of things happening that may result in impact to their performance at work. So I think actually as a manager, it is kind of your business to have an idea on what's going on in people's personal lives if they're willing to share it with you. Because I think it just kind of, you know, gives you an indication, particularly people have families and stuff. In terms of, it sounds like you just maybe need to set some of your own boundaries in terms of when this happens and maybe how frequently. I mean, it could be as simple as you know, saying, so guys, I've got some really deep work to do, deep thinking work to do today. What I'm going to do, because I don't want to be rude and tell you to go away when I'm doing it, because I am interested in what you did at the weekend. But if I'm at a point where I don't want to be disturbed, I'm just going to put my headphones in, or if it's online, I'm going to have my, you know, do not disturb on Slack. Obviously, if it's an emergency, if you really absolutely need me, please do come and get me. But just as my little boundary set up, because this requires some deep thinking work. Could be an option. Escalating to a point where other people in the team are feeling like this, and it is becoming a bit of kind of a, you know, just lots of chatter and gossip, and that is impacting work performance, then that's a different thing. And that's then taking it down, potentially a conversation around using work time, potentially doing something like a team charter, what is acceptable behaviours. Because again, all of these informal conversations are actually what a lot of organisations crave, because it builds these authentic relationships which really just positively impact our engagement in our work. But I think, to be honest, it sounds like you're going to have to get over this a little bit. It's kind of part of your job to get to know people on this level and to breed these types of relationships. If it's not impacting performance, then I think you need to just suck it up and set some personal boundaries. If it is impacting performance, then fair enough, something else needs to be done. And my view would be to think about some kind of team charter kind of intervention event to kind of set some ground rules collectively of how work time is spent. Are my thoughts.
It is part of the job, obviously, of being a boss, is that you have to take an interest in your team, because you're not managing, you know, a bank of computers here. You're managing people. That said, I would probably ask the person who wrote this in to think about, why is it that they don't want to talk, as most human beings want to just chat about stuff? Why not? Is it, I mean, there could be a very specific reason. I mean, certain people who we've spoken to before, perhaps neurodiverse, they don't understand how to have conversations. They don't really, and they don't like it, makes them feel very uncomfortable. Fair enough. That's a different thing. But maybe it's just that you are overwhelmed. Maybe it's just that there's so much going on in your life that you think, I haven't got time. I've got enough of this crap in my life. I don't need someone else's. And I have a sense from reading between the lines that all is not well either at work or at home with you when you wrote this in, because I think it is an odd, it's an unusual thing to ask.
Yeah, good point, Al. Good point. Yeah, I guess that's the thing, isn't it? If they're feeling under pressure as well, they've not got as much energy to invest in that type of activity, which doesn't feel productive. Um, I mean, the other thing I'd say is I understand the professionalism thing of it. As much as I, get to know my team and know about their family and kind of what they've got going on in the world, I'd, as a senior manager, would always be very aware of things like socials. Like I'd probably maybe go to 1 in 3.
Do you mean social events?
Yeah. So when people basically going out drinking and do you know what I mean, a night out, I'd maybe go on 1 in 3 and I'd stay for a couple of drinks and then I'd go. Because one, inevitably people get drunk and then start telling you stuff that probably do push the lines of what you do need to know as a manager. And 2, I think is just that separation as well of kind of like, do you want your manager in the room to see all of that stuff? You want to give the team a chance to build those relationships as well. So I understand that, but I think ultimately, yeah, if assuming everything's fine with you, then I think you just need to suck it up.
And if you can't suck it up or you don't want to, then maybe management isn't for you, and that's okay. I think a lot of people go, I need to be a manager because I want a promotion. Not everyone is cut out to be a manager, and maybe you're not. And I don't say that to be detrimental. Just have a good, honest conversation with yourself. If you won't talk to your staff, at least talk to yourself.